Welcome to Networking Nuggets, the show where we dig deep into the art of building powerful connections. I'm your host, Janaya Hernandez, and each episode we bring you inspiring stories, practical tips, and expert advice from industry leaders and networking pros. Whether you're a seasoned professional or starting your career, this is the place to discover how to leverage networking and mentorship to fuel your success. Get ready to unlock the secrets of effective networking, develop meaningful relationships, and cultivate a community that empowers you. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's dive into today's episode of Networking Nuggets. Wait. Remember, in the world of networking, it's all about practical advice for powerful networks. Good morning, everyone. We are here with another episode for Networking Nuggets. Today, we're going to welcome, I'm so excited for this, the first group. What? If I had audio clap, I would audio clap in the background. I'm telling you. Very, very, very excited. I'm your host, Janaya Hernandez, and today we're diving into the topic of networking for equity. Student edition. I have here a lovely cohort. I'm going to let them introduce themselves individually, and then we are going to dive into the topic. Off to you guys.
Awesome. I can go first, if anything. My name is Alexis Coca. I'm originally from the Utah Valley. I'm a first-year MHA student at Cornell University, and I am super passionate about equity and healthcare. I had a different journey than most. I actually started in international business and somehow made my way to healthcare. And I've been able to just learn so much about this program. I'm also the current AMHL president, which is the Association of Multicultural Healthcare Leaders. And I have loved, it's probably been my favorite position that I've ever held so far. So don't tell anyone else.
We might have to leak that. Who's up next?
I can go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Darnisha. So great to be here. I'm a first-year MHA in the program. I started my passion for health admin actually in 2024, graduated from the University of Virginia with a degree in sociology, concentrated in health, had a more hands-on clinical background experience, and decided that I had a passion for understanding health administration and having an impact on healthcare aspects. And so that's when I decided to pursue my MHA, found this lovely program, and decided to join Cornell's Sloan program. I currently serve as the Vice President of AMHL, and I am also the newly elected Sloan Student Association President as well. I'm so excited to see how that goes, and happy to be here.
This leadership is in the building. All right. I got the president, the vice president. Who's next? Come on.
Okay, I can go next. So I'm super excited to be here. My name is Allison, and I'm also a first-year MHA candidate at Cornell University, and I also hold my bachelor's also from Cornell University, where I studied biology, and so a lot of my background is kind of healthcare related, but I really was drawn to the admin side, similar to Darnisha, kind of with that impact aspect of it, and so again, super excited to be here. In AMHL, I'm a co-director of marketing, and then I'm also just keeping that leadership going to be the incoming president of the Women in Healthcare Leadership Organization at Cornell.
I should have put my blazer on today because this is just outstanding. And we're not going to say last but not least, but bringing in, go ahead, finish the leadership roll call.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Hubert. I'm a second-year MHA at Cornell. And my healthcare journey was very similar to a lot of other people's in that I started on the clinical side. I wanted to become a psychiatrist. I did my undergrad at Binghamton University in neuroscience, and I founded a company supporting mental health research and selling positive apparel. And that's kind of mental health has always been that journey for me, and bringing access to care, culturally concordant care, which led me to healthcare administration, marrying my two passions. And now I interned at UCLA Health in performance excellence, and I'm going to be an incoming administrative fellow at Kaiser Permanente. And to that point of health equity, I founded the Association of Multicultural Healthcare Leaders last year, happily passed it on to Alexis, who's been taking it on and carrying the vision forward. So I'm excited to be here.
So I got to go back 3 sentences. You founded a company called, repeat that again for the audience, because we're not just going to slide that in. It's so casual, like we were just having brunch. No, enunciate that sentence for me right there.
So the company I founded is called All Yours Coaching. Originally, I founded it during COVID because I wanted to support people like many of my friends that I cared about who were suffering from the lack of social presence of people. So I got certified in life coaching and founded this company. But then as I entered my undergrad and started doing like more of my like school and like STEM work, I realized that I didn't have the time for it. So I built out some teams and turned it into a positive apparel company. And I just had a few teams that I ran.
I mean, please clap for yourselves and every one of you. Quite impressive. I am going to be very comfortable retiring and handing over leadership to the next wave in healthcare. That is amazing. You, like each of you individually, very impressive. So we brought the right people today for this episode. I'm going to jump right into it because there's no other way with, introductions like you guys have done. So, as graduate students, why do you all believe networking? Because each of you hold something individual that seems like networking will be key to, right? We got businesses, we got cohorts, we have presidents, we're vice presidents. Why do you believe networking is essential for advancing equity in healthcare leadership? I think this is like each and individual answer. So, Alexis, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. I didn't really have an understanding of what networking was until I came to this program. And I have come to just find out that like networking is more than just, following someone on LinkedIn or like giving someone your business card. I don't know if people still do that. Like
we do. We do.
I've learned that it's about like opening these doors that have been historically closed for a lot of students of different backgrounds. And I've seen that like networking really gives us the access to spaces, leaders, and like opportunities that just like, that do challenge like the status quo and kind of push equity to the forefront of like healthcare leadership. So that's one of the things that I've found that's the most important, is that it's opening these doors. And once you have that foot in the door, you can let other people in. And I think that's what the beauty of networking is as a student, who people are just like trying to find a way in. And when you become that person that's opening the door, it just like, I don't know, I feel like it opens it up for everybody else. So that's just kind of been my experience in networking, especially as a student.
Yeah, I love it. Bringing more chairs to the table, right? Because that's what it's about, representation at the table. So I like how you pointed out opening more doors. Kudos to you. Hubert, I would like to see what your thought is on the same question.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason for why AMHL was founded in the first place. So just to share, like when I made that transition from being a pre-med to trying to do healthcare administration, my mom was really scared for me because there's of all the like conceptions that Asian Americans, they don't become leaders. They I should just stay in a stable job, and she's an immigrant, so just like the keep your head down, work hard kind of mindset. And when you look at a lot of C-suites, a lot of leadership, executive, boardrooms, like you don't really see people that look like you, and I think that that's the real beauty of what networking can do, because when you can connect with someone who shares your background, understands where you're coming from and why you're doing what you're doing, it makes the boardroom look a little bit more diverse, and it makes it more representative of the community. And then when it's more representative of the community, then there's the culturally concordant care that goes with it, and there's the priorities and initiatives that actually serve the people that healthcare serves, which is everybody.
Yes, very well. A trust factor is built accidentally, right? I have a saying that I do, like look alike, sound alike, and you're more willing to participate or just be involved if representation of what looks like you, what your family looks like, your parents, especially if we have elder parents that are not from where you're like this country. They have very, distrust. right? I mean, they came over here for a better life, but they still don't have that total trust in the healthcare system. And then being at whatever stage you are in your sibling line, or if you're the oldest or the youngest, you know, it's pretty much they're relying on your expertise on whether or not can we trust this hospital. Is this doctor okay? You know, I didn't really like how that board member came in. So that's a good, you know, outlook on it. You know, keep focused and put your head down, and that is not the wave anymore, which I am appreciative of, because I come from a time where I don't even think my old self would believe that my new self is doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate that. I'm going to take it to Darnisha. Same question. Networking in a diverse setting. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I will piggyback on all that's been said. I think equity and networking kind of go hand in hand, right? It's a social interaction. You're interacting with other people in this space because we're people at the end of the day. And I think that networking, when I came into Sloan, I think I changed my perspective on it, because I thought it had to be simply this transactional relationship where you had to be this one aspect of yourself and you had to be this one way. But understanding networking and being more genuine in your networking can just launch you in a different direction. And I think that's what I learned coming into Sloan. And then networking also with this perspective of equity, I think puts you in a completely different perspective. I think it opens you up to more opportunities, but not only for yourself, but also the other people that you represent. I think that's the beauty of like AMHL, but other organizations that we represent. It's not only the organizations, but also us just being present within those organizations. I think that's power within that is what creates the power of networking. I guess I'm going to, call out your title.
Call it out, girl. Call it out.
Look at that. But I think that there's power in that, in simply just existing within those systems, because the diversity of voice and diversity of our existence is what creates the equity in the spaces where we need it to be.
I needed that sentence probably midway in the book, diversity of voice. I love that. That is a t-shirt. You guys better hashtag that and put it right market. We said it here first. Diversity of voice. I love that. Allison, you were going to bring us home with this question. Same question. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think everyone else has kind of echoed a lot of what I was thinking of answering, but just like kind of continuing that and wrapping it up. When I heard this question, I kind of thought about like visibility, like continuing that visibility and like voice and like presence, and especially thinking about equity and how that conversation sometimes isn't happening, or sometimes it doesn't feel super heard. And so kind of thinking of networking as a way to like continue that conversation and to like maintain advocacy and like supporting one another is I think what makes networking alongside with networking for equity so important as graduate students who are entering this field.
This question is for you, Allison. When you first joined the cohort, did you have an aspect of think that we would be comparing and combining networking and equity together? Because, health equity is very big now. I would love the students' perspective of when you guys first joined your graduate program. Was it at the forefront? Was it as visible as it is now? And did you ever think you would be pairing these two together?
Definitely not. And I also think I come from like a background where I don't have anyone I really knew in the healthcare leadership space or even in the healthcare space. And I want to say that's that's like probably a familiar experience with a lot of people in our program. Mm-hmm. And so coming in, I definitely thought networking, I like need to get a job. Like it's just to get the job. And I think I've also been very fortunate in Sloan to have such a diverse cohort from people with so many different backgrounds. And I think that's definitely shaped why the idea of networking has changed for me and why we have conversations about networking and equity together.
Do you feel, and I'll pass this to Hubert, do you feel that your generation, right, this is a generational question, understands the importance of networking, and not just networking and equity, like overall? Do you think like there is a sector, there is a place for people like, me, like mid-levels? Is there some opportunities that we need to, loop the group? Do you really feel like there is a baseline understanding of networking?
I think that going into it, there is, when you're coming into like the healthcare space, chances are you're doing it because you care about people and you're trying to do it. Yeah, right. Like you're doing it because you're doing it for people, or you have some sort of story. And I think that what networking really is connecting and learning about other people's stories. And that's what like genuine networking is. And I think that our generation is very good at that, even if it's like through social media. You're just like learning stories in a very like digestible way. But you could always get better at it. And I think even like I'm constantly learning how to be better about my networking, how to just like kind of be more authentic, because I came into it like, okay, like Allison said, like I need to like get a job. Like no one in my family's in healthcare. I don't really know what the right process is, but because I think that mindset of not having anyone, because I had that mindset where no one was like in healthcare already, I came in asking a lot of questions. And I think that that's a big part of networking, and something that our generation is very good at, just asking the right questions and asking the questions that people just kind of assumed were the norm already. And that's kind of where we come in, and we can ask those right questions and break those norms.
Wanting to know the why. This is the generation that I call wanting to know the why. Even when I interview, they're like, please break it down. Why is this the way it is? Is it going to be better? Do you have aspirations of making it better? And I appreciate that, because that keeps me on my toes. And it makes, like you said, I like to echo continuous learning, because I think that is what the differentiation is right now between your generation and the ones before you. So kudos to that. Alexis, I'm bouncing it to you, because I would like you to bring us down maybe a past story, being that you used to be in the business world, of how you came to knowing the importance of networking. And don't be shy. We want a good one. We're all family here, right? My networking BFFs, we're all family. So
Oh, thanks. One story that I can like specifically think of actually happened when I was in my undergrad. So at this time I was kind of prepping to like take the LSAT, and I had been looking for internships, and I found an internship in Pennsylvania. So super random, like from Utah to Pennsylvania, like you're kind of like, what am I doing? But I had an internship out there at a law office, and my preceptor was amazing. I was able to learn so much from her. And there was this one case that we were working on, and we needed to have a consultant come on, and she was a psychologist. And we had really hit it off. I thought she was great. Take in mind, this was probably like 5 years ago, I think, 5 or 4 years ago. And we hit it off, and then I think COVID had just happened or something, so I had to end up going back home. But I kept in contact with this psychologist, and I didn't know that she owned her own business. I didn't know that she was, building a mental health facility within this area. And a few years had gone by, and me and my husband ended up having to move to Pennsylvania. And I needed a job, and I was like, I don't know who to reach out to. And I remember kind of reaching out to her again and being like, hey, do you want to grab lunch? And we kind of started talking. And I think it took like a few times to be like, hey, I kind of need a job. Mm-hmm. Is there anything available? And I remember like kind of just like looking back on that experience, I don't think that would have not happened if I didn't plant a seed a few years prior to that, because I couldn't have expected moving to Pennsylvania ever. Mm-hmm. I imagined myself on the Midwest for the rest of my life.
Well, we appreciate that you came over.
And I'm so grateful to have been able to plant that seed, but also nourish it. And I think that's one of the big parts that's sometimes forgotten about. Like you make a great connection with someone, and then you kind of like keep them on the back burner, but like you don't nourish that relationship. And again, I like I said, we really hit it off, and she has been a great mentor ever since. She was kind of the one who opened my mind to maybe even getting higher education, and introduced me to a Cornell alum that I ended up also working with. And that's where I kind of was, I was like, oh, maybe like health administration is like my like thing.
Yeah.
And I think now as I'm in this program, I'm kind of, harvesting what I had, or reaping the rewards of what I planted years ago. And I'm so grateful for that, because you never know who you're going to network with. Like I feel like every interaction that you have with someone is a form of networking.
Yes.
But like those relationships really will make an impact years later. So I'm a big believer in always, treating people with kindness and respect, but also recognizing that, they are also someone important, and being able to kind of, again, nourish those relationships. Because again, you never know what's going to happen. You may move to Utah in a few years.
You do never know. I mean, I don't think I've moved to Utah. Shout out to my people in Utah. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm a city girl, but you will never know. You will never know. I would like to tell you guys that I have so many hashtags, and I'm writing and taking my own notes. Plant the seed. Like that is like harvesting, like we are there, right? Building these relationships, making genuine connections, follow up. It was the follow up that you had me connected in this story, because that is an important piece that I think many people miss. And no matter what point you're in your career, right? You plant the seed, you build like a spark, you talk, and then you let it go. And then it doesn't come to fruition until we're seeking and we're needing it. And sometimes, you were lucky in your opportunity that you must have made impressionable impaction that she was like, oh, I remember you. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So the follow up, I would like to hear from Darnisha, from the VP perspective, on how can we get this, our student cohort to know the importance of the follow-up. Any advice, any suggestions? Because you play a double role on this call. You're part of a lot of organizations, so I expect you to bring it home here, all right?
Okay, yes. No, absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. I think that first and foremost, I will say, yes, follow-up is extremely important. And I think that's something I've been learning in my networking journey. I think it's also a journey that we go on and we learn about. And I think that follow-up, it can happen in so many different ways. For me, how I follow up is, I mostly use LinkedIn. I'll do a LinkedIn. I'll scroll, see what's going on. If it's a birthday, if it's a milestone, I'll reach out, see how they're doing, follow up, see what's going on. Because I also think it's piggyback off of what Hubert was saying with making those genuine connections and, getting to know people, right? At the end of the day, we are making these connections because we genuinely care about these people that we're getting to know. And so it's like, oh yeah, it was your birthday. How did you celebrate it? How was it? Touching base on those milestones and those experiences, but also making sure that you're reminding those people in your network that you're still here, you're still working, and that you're still making an impact in the field. So that's one way I do follow up. Another way is I reach out through email. So I still email my deans in my undergrad. I still email them periodically. Yes. So I do send periodic emails after each semester where I outline accomplishments from that semester. So I'll outline essentially like what I did. I'll be like, hey, like, how's everything going? I hope you had a great semester. Hope the dog's doing great. I hope the family's doing great. This is what I was able to do this semester. This is where I'll be interning. And I would love to catch up if we have any time, or if I'm going to end up in that city. And then I just send the email, and hopefully they reach out. They're usually really happy and excited. I emailed my dean a while back, actually, when I got to Cornell, and we actually made the connection that she spent a summer in Ithaca because her brother went to Cornell actually one summer. So it was just those follow-ups are extremely important when you think about it. So I would just find creative ways to initiate those follow-ups, and just going back to those genuine connections, right? You don't have to force anything. Just remember to approach people as individuals. Where I think one thing about our generation is we're very curious. We're people that are very in tune with wanting to get to know people. And I think that's why podcasts are very popular. But also, like, that's why I'm really good at networking. And I think we can be good at networking if we shift the focus from making it transactional to just getting to know people. And so I think that's the importance of, like, I think that's the mindset shift that you should probably have when you think about following up. So I think that's my sort of answer to that.
Are you ready to build a powerful connection that elevate your career? Welcome to Networking Nugget, the podcast dedicated to providing you with practical advice for a powerful network. Join us as we explore the art and science of networking with insights from industry leaders and experts. Discover actionable tips that you can implement immediately to enhance your professional relationships. But that's not all. Dive deeper into the world of networking with my books, The Power of Connection, A Mentee's Guide to Networking Mastery, and From Connections to Growth, Advancing Your Path to Professional Excellence. These guides are packed with strategies to help you master networking and turn connections into opportunities for growth. Tune in to Networking Nuggets for your weekly dose of networking wisdom. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your skills, we've got you covered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and take the first step towards building your powerful network today.
Listen, there were some takeaways from there. I appreciate it. I'm throwing this next question to Allison because, you know, in all that you said, it kind of reminded me of mentorship, right? So, Allison, I would love to hear your thoughts. I know Darnisha's thoughts on mentorship because she's my mentee. Shout out, NEHSC. But what role does mentorship play for you, and what advice would you give for it? Some examples of networking for equity and the mentorship importance of it.
Yeah, so mentorship has definitely played a huge role in my journey to where I am now, especially again, because I have no background or anyone I really knew in the healthcare or healthcare leadership space. And so I think having mentors has been really great in the guidance aspect, but then also in introducing me to other leaders in the field who maybe share values that I have and maybe that I otherwise would not have had the ability to reach out to on my own. In terms of seeking mentorship, I think definitely do your research and like reach out to people who prioritize the same things as you do. And also, I think I'm still very early in my career, but I've had so many different types of mentors who play different roles, and there are some mentors that I definitely keep in touch with more than others, and I think that's also okay. Like having different, like a mentor doesn't have to look one certain way and don't have to always follow up that person. They can kind of serve different purposes. I guess in terms of equity, I consider this person my mentor, and we don't speak as frequently now, but I did an undergraduate internship at a health system, and they were someone that I had reached out to because I was interested in continuous improvement, which is the work that he did. And he's someone who didn't necessarily look like me in any way, but he was someone that constantly tried to get me in connections with people that were in roles that I was really interested in. And I think having that like back to me and not being the one who had to always do the reaching out or to always be like, oh, can you help me with this? Or can you help me with that? I'm really interested in this. By having him being the one that was like, oh, our conversation was super interesting. Is XYZ something that you're interested in? Because I'd love to connect you. And so I think by kind of like highlighting those specific kinds of mentors, I think is important in the equity space, and just kind of keeping in mind that it is like a give and a take. It is that kind of relationship. So yeah.
I'd like to know how you went about approaching, because I think that is the scary part. Like, how do I approach someone to be my mentor? Any advice? So I'll start with you, Allison, because you reached out to a powerhouse, it seems like, and it was very beneficial. So we'd like to hear you, and then I'd like to bring it to the group on how do you approach someone to be your mentor?
Yeah, so I initially approached, it was a cold email, but I had, as an undergraduate intern, I had a graduate mentor, and she was interning in that department. And so she was like, I'd worked with this individual one time. He's really great and knows a lot. Here's his email. And so I kind of approached it like, oh, like you might know this graduate intern. Okay. I'm her mentee. And the work that she's been doing this summer is really incredible. And I'm super interested in learning more, but I don't know anything about it. And so that's kind of how our first conversation started. And a little bit, I guess, similar-ish to Darnisha's Ithaca connection, but this individual, actually his son was looking at Cornell as a school to attend. And so we had that as like a connecting outside of healthcare relationship that started building. And so that's kind of how we continued conversations, because I ended up actually connecting his son with some of my friends at Cornell as an undergrad. And so we had that outside of healthcare relationship there.
Like the gift that keeps on giving here. So it's
yeah, exactly.
You got a mentor out of it and became a mentor, kind of.
Yes, yeah. So it was definitely a unique situation, but one that kind of, I would say that's probably the mentee-mentor relationship that's happened like the most naturally, just by circumstance and like what our lives were like at that moment. Yeah. And so we've kind of from there kind of fostered that mentorship relationship just by having conversations about things outside of healthcare. And then by him reaching out and being like, I would love to support you as like an early careerist. And I think that was really helpful for me, for someone who hadn't really had a mentor before.
Well, that's amazing. Now, do you keep in touch with his son? And or those same gems that, because we don't listen to our parents. I have children your guys' age, so I know that. And someone can say those same valuable insights, but it's relatable from that, from that other person, and it's all about connection. And once you hear it from someone that you feel is relatable, it kind of just resonates and makes sense. So now, do you pour that same information into his son?
Definitely at the beginning of that connection, but his son was interested in joining the swim team. So I kind of redirected, I know nothing about that. So I kind of redirected that to my friends who are student athletes, and I know they still keep in touch. So that's really nice to kind of have been able to foster that relationship.
That's what mentors do. We may not know all the topics, so it's our job to connect you with someone that will be beneficial and will. So you did nothing wrong. You did everything right. I like to hear from the group the importance of mentors and how you guys go about contacting and asking someone to be your mentor. Anyone next?
I can go next. Just because I remembered something someone had said to me previously, and I have to preface with saying, like, I'm a huge believer in shooting your shot, sending that cold email, and like really just like putting yourself out there. And sometimes though, when you kind of imagine having someone as your mentor, you may not always click. And I think it's also having that self-awareness that you can't force a relationship. Kind of like what Allison touched on a little bit, where like, you may just sometimes like gravitate naturally towards someone and you instantly click. You have the same values, you have the same goals, and like that's, a great mentorship relationship. But sometimes when you start kind of forcing those relationships, and I've experienced this, it's just like kind of awkward. And you don't really feel like, they're interested or you're trying to be interested, but you're not. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like kind of like the big, like I have to preface with that, with like finding and seeking mentorship. But something that I've always, and I've learned this from Hubert, actually, I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but
if you have a mentor, or if you're looking for a mentor and you find someone and they're like, you know what, I don't have time, or like, I'm kind of like really busy, but you're kind of left with like, oh, well, what do I do? And I've learned from Hubert, it's like, you always kind of ask the follow-up question of, oh, do you know someone who would be interested? Or do you know someone else who might, be looking for a mentee or explore this relationship? And a lot of the times people will give you the name. And I learned the power of that through Hubert. He's been a great mentor, unofficial, but I've learned that from him, and I've started kind of doing that. The worst thing someone can say is no.
Yes, the power of the no. I touch this with a lot of my mentees, that you don't stop at the no, because that no is just a pause. It may be a not for right now. So I do like that you brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, and like the best thing that you can just can say after the no is be like, okay, do you know someone who might be interested? And I think that it holds a lot of power to it, especially when seeking out mentorship. So for any student who's looking for mentorship, like don't get down on yourself if someone says no, or if no one responds, because like that's going to happen. But like what's for you will be for you, and it'll come naturally, realistically, I think.
For you will be for you. That is correct. And now, Hubert, you are now proclaimed the follow-up king. So we need to hear from you. How do we go about getting the mentor? Because if the audience could see the screen, everyone was pointing to you. So now the pressure is on, Hubert. Let us know.
Yeah, and I'm honored, Alexis. You got me giggling and kicking my feet over here. So, but I found mentors in a lot of different ways. My first ever formal mentor was actually by accident. It was through a connection with a Sloan alumni, and just because we had the same interests, our one of our Sloan admin, she connected us, and we just kind of hit it off, and I asked him a lot of questions, and then eventually I just accidentally was like, I just assumed that he was a mentor. I didn't really know how it worked. And I just said like, oh, like, thank you for being like my mentor or something. And he's like, oh, I could be a mentor if you want. And that's like how it started. And, yeah. And he's been super supportive ever since. And he's connected with me with his people. So at ACHE recently we connected, and he connected me with a bunch of people that he knew, and then they connected me with people they knew. So I've just been like on this like kind of domino effect of that networking. But then on the more formal end, I've also, every time I see anything mentorship related, like any mentor programs, I sign up for it. So NHSE, I have an amazing mentor through there. And I've signed up through mentorship programs in like a lot of other different places. Within our program as well, just with peers, we have a Pathfinder program where you just get paired with the second year who's your mentor. And I've signed up to be a Pathfindee and now a Pathfinder.
Oh, wow.
So, we have a lot of built-in systems, and I would say like if you're a graduate student who is seeking mentorship, every time there are so many of those that happen at least once a year, and just sign up. Like you will find someone great through there. And then on the informal end as well, there's a lot of people that you just talk to, and you don't have to say thank you for being my mentor, but you can just say thank you for like, I learned a lot in this past 30-minute call. Like thank you for like guiding me, for teaching me. And later on, if you want to keep learning from someone like that, like Darnisha was mentioning, the follow-up is really important. Like one of my coworkers, I learned a lot from her, and she like kind of helped me I shadowed her at UCLA, and she recently had a baby. So I said like, how's the baby doing? Like send pictures. And like for past holidays, I say happy holidays to like a lot of my connections that are like people that I have like invested in me. And it's just like kind of that shared support for one another.
You students are, I want to say, amazing, because one recognition that you have that is often forgotten is a place of gratitude. So I adore that you brought up the thank you, because thank you is a very, very, very powerful word, and it goes a long way. And just realizing that you've already stepped up the ladder in your career. So many, many claps, many claps. Darnisha, you are not off the hook, because I'm going to be listening how you have received your mentor. So
No, absolutely. Yeah, going off of what everyone has said, touched on a lot of great points. For me, most definitely, mentorship is reciprocal. Those relationships are give and take. And so for me, I've luckily been blessed with a lot of unofficial mentors, but also mentors I've gotten through programs and applying through official mentorship through programs. Luckily, I've had the best mentors, I truly believe. Honestly, in all the programs I've been a part of, like my mentors, we have clicked in terms of personality, but also goals and also their willingness to participate in my goals in my life. And that's something that I think is important to look out for. And I think that when you are entering this sort of when you're looking out for a mentor, I would say to look out for not only someone that matches your energy or someone who, for me, when I'm looking for a mentor, I look for someone who I look up to, someone who's doing what I want to do or aspire to do or has the connections where I want to be in the vicinity of. Or they are someone who composes themselves in a way I want to be in. And so just establishing an individual that has those, but also an individual that is also willing to be a mentor. And I think that's important too, willingness, right? Not everyone has the time or is willing to be a mentor, and that's completely okay. And so establishing that for yourself will save so much time and effort, but also will make sure that the relationship is worth your while in terms of official mentorship. So that's usually what I look out for. And I think establishing those goals will help you in, formally asking someone if they would like to be your mentor. But me personally, I will reach out and be like, will you be my mentor? I do not hesitate when I find someone truly inspiring, but also truly someone who I feel like would say yes, because I feel that they have that mentor energy.
Mentor energy.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That mentor energy. They're willing to take their time out and volunteer their, efforts towards you and your goals. But I also, like I said in the beginning, reciprocate. And so as a mentee, making sure that you're investing in that relationship and, also engaging with your mentor and making sure that you're also invested in their goals as well, and making sure that you're as invested in their experience, even though you may not be able to help as a early careerist. But
you definitely could be a mentor as an early careerist. Listen,
yes.
There's ladders. There's ladders to this. There's ladders, right? The receptionist is still early careerists, and they're looking at the practice manager, who's looking at the director, who's looking at the VP. So
you see, it works out.
Levels.
Exactly. There's levels to it. So exactly. So it's reciprocal in that way. So most definitely, I think when you go in establishing goals on both ends and you come together and align those goals, I think you can find the best relationship for your mentor-mentee connection. But yeah.
You guys, ladies and gentlemen, are amazing. So please, you're on the right path, the right direction. I know sometime in the future, I am going to have you back on, because I see future VPs and, CEOs and doctors. I think it was Alexis. You never know when you end up in Utah, right? That is my new affirmation. You never know when you end up in Utah. I love that. I am amazed. I myself learned so many things from this interview. I'm so happy that we were able to do it. And I hope that, your cohort, your Cornell community finds some value in the gems that you dropped. But we are not done just yet. We come to a fun part of this segment. So I have something that we call toolbox or trash, right? It's an easy game. I just give you a few items and you let my networking BFFs and myself know I'm going to keep that in my toolbox, my professional toolbox, and pull that out when necessary. Or you know what, Janaya, we're going to throw that away. Like, that is trash. Okay? You ready to play? You think we can do it? Okay. And I'll just throw it out to the group. Because sometimes, you guys don't all have the same opinions. Like, one of you might be, that's in my toolbox. And one of you might be like, that is trash. So I am eager to see where this goes. First one up, elevator pitch. Are we putting that in our professional toolbox or are we trashing it? Who wants to take it?
I can start. I'm going to go toolbox. And I like to think elevator pitch is a good way of also starting that genuine connection, because you can kind of throw in a little bit like of background about yourself as well. I didn't do it at the beginning, but I like to say like where I'm from. I'm from Orange County, California, and sometimes that sparks additional conversation. So
it does. I have questions for you. You should have definitely told us that.
Definitely toolbox, I'd say.
Yes. Anybody thinks it should go in the trash? We're all in agreement. We're definitely putting that in our professional toolbox. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. I think it should be focused, and I think it should be geared towards why certain things matter, what your experiences and why they matter to the person you're talking to.
All right. I think I know what Hubert's going to say for this one, because we have we shared interests in these. Attending industry conferences, toolbox or trash?
Put it right in the toolbox.
That's right.
Every conference you can get to, definitely go.
Yes, I agree, and I don't think I've had anyone put it in the trash yet. So ACHE, you're doing a wonderful job. Yes.
Shout out. Great time.
How about a notebook for tracking networking interactions? Are we putting it in our toolbox or are we trashing it?
Toolbox.
Agreed.
Definitely.
But I think our toolbox is full.
It is.
I like it. How about, and this will be our last one, engaging in social media debates?
You can trash that one.
Yeah, that might be in the trash can. Yeah.
And why? Why? You don't think open communication on social media is helpful?
I feel like, oh, sorry. No, I feel like I love a good Facebook argument or, debate, but I feel like, you don't always convey what you want to argue or debate in like in a real way if it's not, like, you don't know the other person. It also just doesn't really look professional, in my opinion. I'm a big believer in healthy discourse. I think you learn a lot from debating, but I feel like it's something that can quickly turn toxic, and then you kind of run the risk of maybe being canceled later on. I don't know.
And so no one wants to be canceled. No, absolutely not. Then everything goes into the trash, We don't.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in favor. There's no way around that. Keep your debates private.
I think you are your brand, and social media can be used to learn, not necessarily just to argue. Because you're just gonna hurt your brand in that way.
I love that. You are your brand. You know what? Thanks. Look at Hubert bringing us home. I love that. Taking it in. You know what, guys? This has been so fun. I can't say enough how thankful I am for having you guys on the show. I hope that we bring, some clear messages, because again, I myself, and I'm speaking for myself, learned a lot. So very, very highly educated group. I see you going places. Stay focused. Stay at those conferences. Keep reaching out to those mentors. Allison, we're going to call you because your cold emailing work. So share the template, friend. Share the template. Today, as we conclude, I want to emphasize the importance of networking as a tool for advancing equity in healthcare, right? It doesn't just stop with the patient. You want, inspirational and aspirational leaders. the Association for Multicultural Healthcare Leaders has provided us with practical strategies to build bridges and honor diverse leadership. So thank you guys. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this episode of Networking Nuggets. If you found value in today's discussion, please share this episode with your network and leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more people and share these important insights. Until next time, keep building those connections with intentions and empowering one another. Remember, it's all about spreading practical advice for powerful networks. Toodles.